Hello and welcome. I'm Natalie Lawrence, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create image placeholders in Microsoft Word for Mac. This is a follow-up to a previous video of mine called Image Placeholders in Microsoft Word for Windows. Now for that one I used something called a picture content control, which is available from a developer ribbon, but unfortunately that isn't available in the Mac version for Word. So in this video I'm going to use macros. Now if you're already confident with macros and just want to copy and paste the text, scroll down underneath the video and you'll find a link to my Google Docs document with the text in it. Try it and let me know how it works for you. But otherwise follow along and you can see how the macros work. In this scenario I'm creating a template for a client and it needs to include an option to insert a cover page. The client doesn't want to have to guess what size the image should be or how to put it in the right position. They just want to press a button and the cover page goes into the right place. I'm going to use 3 macros and I'll show you how each of them work. The first one is called Insert Cover Page Image Placeholder. I'm going to put my cursor right at the top of page 1 and then I'll run this macro. And what it does is it puts in a table at the right size and in the right position, covering the whole of page 1. This is going to contain the image. I'm then going to click inside the table and run the second macro, which is called Open Insert Pic dialog box. And what this does is it opens up the Insert Picture dialog box. From there I can choose the image that I want to use. Okay, and once the image is in, I'll probably have to resize it because it's likely that my clients and their users will use images of different sizes. So I select the image and then run this macro called Resize Cover Page Image. This will resize the image by using the crop feature, so it changes the crop area to fit the table space and then uses the fill feature to fill up that space. To try these macros out for yourself, open up the link I've included underneath this video. It's to my Google Docs file which has all of the text you need to use. Select everything, copy it, and then open up a new blank document in Microsoft Word. Go to the developer ribbon and click on the Visual Basic button. If you don't have a developer ribbon active, follow the instructions underneath the video. If your document doesn't have any macros in it, this is what you'll see. But not to worry, go to the Insert menu, click on Module, and a new screen pops up. Click inside this area and paste the text. Now if your file does have macros in it already, this type of pane should appear automatically, and you can still paste the text in it, or you can insert a new module and paste it in there. Click on this little word symbol in the top left corner of the window, click on the macros button, and you'll see all the macros are listed here. To see the ones for the document you're working on, click on the Macros In drop-down box and choose the file you want. And that's it. Except it's not yet, because I know some of you will have a few questions. A few of you might be asking, why are you using a table? Some of you will definitely be asking, that looks great, Natalie, but what if I need to use a different size? And I know some of you will be wondering, well, Natalie, that looks a bit long, a bit laborious, because you have to click on each macro and run them separately. Can't I just press a button and have all 3 macros running automatically, one after the other? Well, yes, you can do that, and I'm going to answer all 3 of those questions next. If you've inserted pictures into Word, you'll know that sometimes they'll move around the document of their own accord, or disappear completely. Putting a picture in a table makes this less likely to happen, plus you can control the size of any image placed in it, and that's due to the table properties. In the Table Properties dialog box, you can see the text wrapping of a table is set to around. When I click on Positioning, I can set the top left corner of the table to the top left corner of the page. This way I can set the image's position and make it less likely to float off or disappear. In the Table tab, I can set the width, but it's the row height in the Row tab that's really important because it's set to exactly. This means no matter what a user does to the image, the row height and therefore the image height won't change. In this case, it's always going to be 29.7 centimeters. If you want to change the size of the image and the placeholder, then changing the measurements is easy to do, and I've included instructions for this within the macros. Let's take a look at the first one, which inserts a table. Now, if you're doing this with me, go to the Developer ribbon and click on the Visual Basic button. Find the macro called Insert Cover Page Image Placeholder. To change its width, I go to the line beginning with .preferred width and change the figure in brackets. I do the same in the line beginning with .rows brackets 1 .height =. If I want to change the height, you'll notice the words centimeters to points. This helps to set the right measurements in centimeters. If you prefer to use inches, change everywhere you see these words to inches to points and change the figure in brackets. So for a portrait US letter, for example, you'll change the numbers to 8.5 and 11 if you're using inches. If you want to change the position of the table and therefore the image, the numbers in these lines beginning with .rows .horizontal position and .rows .vertical position need to change. Remember, these position the top left corner of the table. They're both set to 0, so if you want to move them a certain distance away from the page edges, just put in centimeters or inches to points, then tap in the number within the brackets. Now you need to make sure the macros resize the image to the same size as the table. And in order for that to happen, whatever change you make to the size of the table in the first macro, these need to be matched within the third macro, which is the resizing one. For example, to resize an image to US letter size in inches, make the same changes in the lines including the words pictureformat.crop within the third macro. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it is possible to run all three macros one after the other automatically. In the Google Docs file, there are 2 extra macros that I haven't mentioned yet. The last one is called Merge All. It links all the 3 macros we've just seen, and this is the one you need to use. I'm going to click at the top of page 3 of my document, open up the macros and run Merge All. There you go. It creates the table and opens up the Insert Picture dialog box. I choose my image and it resizes it straight away. Seamless. All done by using one macro. Now for those interested, it actually uses a copy of a second macro called 2A Open Insert Pic dialog box. And that's because the original doesn't select the image automatically, and this needs to happen in the merge macro, so the copy will select the image automatically before resizing it. It's still useful in my opinion to have the 3 separate macros. For example, your template may already have a table placeholder in it, so you just need to use macros 2 and 3. It's also very likely that a user will want to change the picture using the change picture command, in which case you only need to use the resize macro. Alright, here's one final tip. If you don't want to keep opening up the macros box to get to the one you want, go to Tools and then Customize Keyboard. Here you can allocate a keyboard shortcut to your macros. In Categories, scroll down to Macros. In Save Changes, make sure the document or template you want is selected. Under Commands, choose a macro, then click in Press New Keyboard Shortcut and press the keys that you want to use. Be careful not to overwrite a shortcut already in use unless that's actually what you want to do. Click on the Assign button, then click OK. Now every time you want to use a particular macro, you can just use your keyboard shortcut to make it run. Alright, now we really have reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you found that useful. If this video has helped you, do give it a like, subscribe, check out some other videos that I've made. I will be making some more in the future. But in the meantime, thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you back here soon.